So this is the town of Olary, and it's on the Barrier Highway as you pass through, and it is a ghost town. There's probably a good dozen abandoned buildings, an old bakery, what I assume is a post office, a school, and then some residences like behind me. This one was full of goats, and I'm not going to go in because it's the middle of summer and I'm wearing thongs. But a lot of these also seem to have asbestos in them. So in the scheme of staying healthy, I also don't want to stir up any dust either. But I'll go for a look around, have a look at the main street and show you guys what's interesting. So, hope you enjoy.
If you can't tell by now, Olary is not a big town. It currently has a population of around 4 as of the 2016 census, and the majority of the buildings are derelict or abandoned. The exception is the Olary Hotel and a small workshop on the other side of town. I decided to get out and stretch my legs, have a bit of a look around. I believe this is the old post office, either this building in front of me or the one to the left, and the reason for that is the post box, which is still standing, funny enough. The post office opened on the 12th of October 1886, and early on in its life, Olary went through a number of name changes. So originally it was named Olary and later renamed Ulary around 1888 before changing back to Olary around 1896. In 1906, Australia's first uranium mine opened at Radium Hill, which is only 40 kilometres from Olary. This was mined until 1961 and had a boom town with over 1,000 people living there. It was also one of the few South Australian government projects that made a profit at the time. The majority of Radium Hill has been demolished, with a lot of the buildings removed, and a lot of the mines backfilled or covered over with topsoil. It's still a radioactive site, so it's strongly advised that you don't go there, as there's low level radioactivity in the area and there's a lot of contamination. There is a small museum in Peterborough dedicated to the Radium Hill town, and I believe at various points throughout the year there are some historic tours that go near the area, but my advice would be to keep out of there.
Pretty cool ruins. I'm pretty sure all this is asbestos as well. Fibre sheet or asbestos sheet. And there's a few buildings that go up the street, so I'll go have a look at that in a second.
This is the old Olary station and was an important stopping point between Port Pirie and Broken Hill. The railway was completed in 1887 and the locomotives of the day would stop here to resupply with coal and water, and you can actually see the old water tank in the distance there. This one has a Burford's #1 soap advertising, which you can still see on the front of it. Continuing on, I decided to have a look at the main part of the town. So this is actually High Street, which is just off the Barrier Highway. On either side, there are a few derelict or abandoned houses. There's also a school, bakery, and I believe an old hall. If you follow it around, there's a few roads that kind of go to the left and right, but the main section of the town is to the right, so I headed down here to drive past these buildings and have a bit of a look around. Olary saw some severe flooding in 1997, along with other parts of the Barrier Highway. And a few years later in 2015, there was also a major fire which ripped through parts of the town. As a result, a lot of these buildings are on the brink of falling down or collapsing. So definitely be careful if you are going to take a walk around. Also, keep in mind some of these will be on private property and are fenced off, so make sure you kind of stick to the rules and don't go anywhere that's fenced off or has signage. Keep in mind there is also 1 or 2 houses that are currently lived in towards the other side of the town and the hotel. I'm actually not surprised to see a family of goats here. So driving the Barrier Highway from Cobar in New South Wales, I've probably seen a good 5,000 goats. Doing a bit of research, I just had a quick look and they actually estimate there's probably about 4.9 million feral goats roaming the New South Wales Outback and parts of the South Australian Outback. So they are absolutely everywhere around here. This building appeared to be one of the older buildings of the town, and it was a stone and brick construction. I did peek my head inside, but that was probably the extent I was going to explore this, especially in the midday sun. I think this building used to be an old school. Doing some research online, all I could find was that this building was probably constructed before 1940 and is the old government iron schoolroom. A few years later, around 1950 to 1960, a newer school was built on the other side of the railway line, but it's since been demolished and is gone.
Paint's definitely peeling in here. And the floor's a little bit bowed as well, so if you are going to come in here, just be careful you don't fall through. And I think there's actually birds nesting in the roof, so one day that roof's going to come down as well. You can hear some things moving around up there. Very cool. Those pigeons.
On the way back out, I had a quick stop at the old bakery, which is fenced off, and also next to a few scrap heaps, which you can see. This basically marks the end of my explore or adventure around Olary. So if you liked the video, drop me a like or a comment. I'd also like to hear from anyone that's been here or lived in Olary that can share a bit more of the history of the buildings and the town. For now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next adventure. Bye.